Welcome to more Science OGT practice. Today we're going to be doing problems in Earth and Space Science. I've separated into two videos so it doesn't get too long. So here we go. On which map do the shaded land areas represent regions where average annual temperature is greater than 18 degrees Celsius, in which they've kind enough to tell us that that's 64.4. Now that's the average annual, average for the year. So that's got to be a fairly warm place. And hopefully you have your own packet that you downloaded that goes along with the videos so that you can see things maybe more clearly. Because right here in part A, the shading is way high. This is very cold up there. So their average annual temperature cannot be greater than 18 in A. B is looking pretty good. It's below the equator. Remember, the equator is where we are the warmest. That's the warmest, and we're slightly below the equator there. Which sounds pretty good. Let's take a look at C. C, again, is some shaded regions kind of very up high again. Pretty much too high to be an average. Because our temperature in Ohio, our average annual temperature is not nearly that high. And that's another reason why it's not D, because if you look, D's up higher than Ohio, and we might even be in there. So that's still a little bit too cold. So this would be, this region here, where this shaded part is, that would be our best answer. So we'll go with B on that. And you do have the answers marked in your packets as well. Of course, they're not explained, but they're in there as answers. Number 24, a driver traveling from the coniferous region to the tundra region would most likely observe. Okay, now the tundra is pretty cold. So there's not a lot of things that grow there. There's not that many animals there since the tundra region is pretty cold. So if you're going from coniferous to tundra, are you going to have a decrease in your air quality, a decrease in your biodiversity, an increase in deciduous tree species, an increase in nighttime temperatures? No, you're not going to get an increase in nighttime temperatures. You're going to be decreasing. The tundra is cold. So you're not going to increase your trees either. Your deciduous trees, those are the trees that lose their leaves, like oaks, maples, etc. There's no reason to decrease your air quality. Actually, there's probably not a lot there for pollution purposes, but you are going to decrease, as we mentioned, your biodiversity. Less plants and less animals in that habitat. And next, if we look at question 24, here we go. This is, of course, the Arctic tundra. Has an annual temperature range of negative 34 degrees C to 12 degrees C. That's a temperature range. The annual participation ranges from about 15 centimeters to 25 centimeters of rain. Based on these conditions, what characteristic does the Arctic tundra exhibit? Again, it's the same question, pretty much. It's very cold, so it can't be cold and have a long growing season. And it's most important aspect of that, again, is the low biodiversity. Climatographs are often used to represent a location's temperature and precipitation patterns. Precipitation is represented by the bar graph because it's cumulative. And so they have, if you look at the little keys, the total participation is the bar graph, and the average maximum temperature is the line graph. Which climatograph most likely represents a tropical rainforest? So tropical rainforest, so it's warm, and you do get quite a bit of rain. So if we want to check this out, this appears that they're warmer, like kind of in the summery months, which reminds us of something that has seasons like we do. This is pretty warm most of the time, and also there's quite a bit of rain. A little bit here, a little bit more here, but quite a bit of rain all the time. Here, there's not hardly rain at all in July and August, so I don't think that could be it, although the temperature is kind of warm. And here we have a temperature dip in June, July, and August, which doesn't sound reasonable. And also look at the difference in the average precipitation. It's kind of low and then high. So this would be our rainforest, where we have high precipitation all year round. And of course, higher temperatures. If you've ever been to the rainforest at the zoo, you'll see how warm it is in there. And that periodically, they do have it rain right on you. Okay, some more information about climates, etc. These are some biomes. The following graph shows the ranges of temperature and precipitation for 6 American biomes, 2 of which are identified by name. So they only identified 2 of them by name. This one here is the temperate forest, and this one here is the coniferous forest. And so these are some other biomes that we have here in America. So our questions are, tropical forests typically have a narrow range of temperatures, a narrow range, so the temperature doesn't fluctuate much, but they have a wide variation in the amount of rain that falls each year. Additionally, some tropical forests receive nearly twice as much precipitation as other wet biomes. So which would be the tropical forests? So with that information, narrow range of temperatures, so the temperature range has to be narrow, but it has a lot of moisture. So if you're looking for narrow range of temperature, this is quite a bit again. But this is, if you're going to, temperature is on the vertical scale, so this is not varying very much in temperature, okay? But it has lots of rain. It has the most rain out of all the biomes. So that would be why. Our tropical forest would be Y. Number 30, which 2 biomes share the most similar precipitation ranges? So the precipitation ranges are on the horizontal axis, so this way. So we're looking at what's, for example, this one we thought was the tropical rainforest there, and it doesn't share much precipitation with anybody. It overlaps a little bit here. But the ones that overlap the most, let's see what they give us. W and X. W and X do not overlap much at all when you're looking at the horizontal scale. Horizontally, they only overlap a little bit in here. The temperate forest and biome Y. The temperate forest and biome Y, again, they overlap a little bit in here, but you've got all this on the temperate forest with a lot lower precipitation, and Y's got all this higher amount of precipitation. Biome Z and the coniferous forest. Biome Z and the coniferous. Well, again, there is some overlap from here to here, but the coniferous has all this extra rain, and this is all this extra dry area here. What about the coniferous forest and temperate forest? Coniferous and temperate. Ah, look at those. If you look at those from side to side, they almost match completely. This is just a tiny bit over on this end, and it's just a tiny bit over on this end. So the ones that match side to side the most would be choice D. So you got to make sure you're reading the scale so that you know what you're trying to look for. Deserts are consistently the driest biomes in North America. They typically receive very little precipitation, but have a wide variation in the mean annual temperature. Which biome represents the deserts? So the deserts are the driest, but they have the wide variation in the temperature. So precipitation's this way. So we're looking for a narrow, a skinny shape, kind of like maybe like W, but it also says they can have a wide variation in the temperature. So this does have this has a fairly wide variation in temperature. It varies in temperature more than this does, or a little bit more than this. So I would think that biome W is most likely our desert, according to their description. Number 16 asks us to also look at the graph. What's the primary difference between biomes W and X? Between W and X. Now notice, top to bottom, they're not totally close, but a little bit. This goes a little bit higher and a little bit lower for temperature. But side to side, X gets more precipitation than W. So let's see. Is it the mean number of species? Well, we don't know for sure about how many species are in those areas yet. The mean annual temperature, the primary difference. The temperature I don't think is a primary difference because they're kind of both sort of in the same area. The mean annual precipitation, or the mean number of days with sunshine. Again, the sunshine and the species are not on this map, but I would say that precipitation is the biggest difference. W is quite a bit drier than X. So again, a lot of this, it's not only about the climates of these biomes, but it's about reading the chart. Number 17, still the same picture. This same picture was used on a couple different years, so that's why there's so many questions about this. Biome Z would likely be found in which of these locations? In a valley along the Pacific coast, along a rocky shore in New England, in the middle of the Midwestern plains, or above the tree line in the Rocky Mountains. Now, Biome Z, it's the coldest by far. You can see it's the coldest of all these biomes. So, and it does receive some precipitation. But it being the coldest is our clue. Above the tree line in the Rocky Mountains. First of all, you're in the mountains. The higher up you go, remember, you get colder as you go up. You've probably seen the movies about people freezing as they're trying to climb Mount Everest. And you're also above the tree line. So that would take care of the cold. So Biome Z would most likely be above the tree line there. We'll do number 18 in a second since that's a short answer. Let's do number 19. The tundra is the coldest of the biomes, having extremely low temperatures and little precipitation. What other characteristics would be expected? So this is not exactly on the map. If it's the coldest and little precipitation, I would think, again, this is about the third question about the tundra, low biotic diversity and sparse. Sparse means not much, little vegetation. It wouldn't be nutrient-rich soil in a long growing season, not if they're that cold. Stable population numbers and high biotic diversity, no. Not dense vegetation, and no. Okay, and I guess biotic, I didn't talk about that term. That has to mean living, for living things. Abiotic and there's biotic. Biotic refers to things that are living. Let's take a look at number 18. Locate biome W and the temperate forest on the graph. So we're looking at W and the temperate forest. Based on the information, describe one similarity and one difference between the climates of these two. W and the temperate forest. So when I look at them side to side, they don't overlap. So that means W would be dry and the temperate forest gets more rain. But if I look at them up and down, that means their range in temperature is fairly close. So I think that's the similarity, their average temperature, but their difference then is in the amount of rainfall that they each receive. So I've written that up for us. Biome W and the temperate forest are similar regarding the range of average annual temperatures, about 10 to 30 degrees C. So that's what I said, rounded this off to about 10 to 30. They differ in the average annual amount of precipitation, about 0 to 30 for Biome W. So Biome W, I estimated that to be about 0 to 30. And for the temperate forest, I said that would be about 50 to 210. So that's a big difference. There's no overlap at all in precipitation, but quite a bit in the temperature. So I think that would be worth our 2 points, one similarity and one difference. Number 6, another short answer. It says state 2 factors and explain how each influences the weather in Ohio. So there's a lot of things that do affect weather. Remember, we just talked about the higher your elevation, the cooler you get. We talked about being closer to the equator, which makes you warmer. So I put a few things down here. It says the latitude of Ohio is far enough from the equator so that we have 4 seasons of weather. Remember, the closer to the equator, the warmer the climate. So our latitude pushing us up, halfway toward the pole there, gives us our 4 seasons. We also live right next to Lake Erie, which is a large enough body of water to moderate the range of temperatures throughout the seasons. The lake helps us keep a little bit cooler in the summer and a little bit warmer in the winter. However, we can also be affected by lake effect snow living next to that lake. Okay, it says the cross section below shows a series of rock layers that have been found in all of these land masses. This series of rocks in South America, Africa, India, Australia, and Antarctica. Alfred Wegener's analysis of the similarities in these layers led to the conclusion that these 5 land masses were once joined together in a single landmass. So that's one of our proofs. The rock layers, then there's also the fossils that tell us that these land masses were once joined. This does not tell us that the continental plates necessarily flowed on top. That is probably true too, but this doesn't support that. This supports the fact that they were probably all connected at one time. And it says an undisturbed rock sequence is the oldest fossils are on the bottom. That is also true, but that's not what this is proving, just because that's true no matter where you go. And magnetic anomalies are preserved in rocks formed at mid-oceanic spreading centers. I don't know about that. I think that's something they just threw in there as a detractor. Okay. Number 39, more about the fact that we may have been one huge landmass. What evidence has been used to support the theory of plate tectonics? And again, it would be C. Not rock layers this time, but the same fossil species are found in South America and Africa. Okay? So that would support our plate tectonics as well. Just because the Grand Canyon runs in the same direction as the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, no. Just because there's deserts in different places, no. Glacial chill covers parts. That could be from different glaciers, so that's not necessarily it. It would be those same fossils found in South America and Africa. And here's a picture of Gondwandaland. I mean, we've also heard it called Pangaea. But anyway, it says scientists have hypothesized for years that Earth's continents once formed a single landmass that broke apart and became the continents as we know them today. The model shows the land masses as they started to break apart to form South America, Africa, Antarctica, India, and Australia. Remember those two where they mentioned the same rock layers were found on those as they are separated. So what evidence best supports this? Once again, similar fossils have been found in parts of Africa and South America. So it's either similar fossils or similar rock layers. But again, they don't put both of those answers in one choice. For one, I mean, it's either that or the other, but they're not both in there to make you try to choose between those two. The early development of the theory of plate tectonics was supported by which of these observations? Here we are again. So this seems to be fairly important because it keeps coming up year to year. And here it is, those matching fossils on the continents of Africa and South America. And here we go. Our last question for this first part of Earth and space. The Hawaiian Islands are riding on the Pacific plate as it moves northwestward. They're being formed as the plate moves over a hot spot in the mantle. So the magma comes up, cools down, forms the rock layers, etc. Where is the next volcano likely to form? Okay, so this is what happens. The volcanoes, they get through to the surface. So that's what's forming the islands. So if you notice carefully in the map, this is the oldest and this is the youngest. So if they're still being formed, we would expect the next volcano then to be in Area D, where they are being formed. And there's more to go with the Earth and space. So tune in again for our next video. Please make sure you've downloaded the packet. This packet, actually the one packet, will take care of both videos. Good luck again on your OGT. Bye for now.